Riptide GP2 and Riptide Renegade, developed by Vector Unit, are actually fun games for what they are, especially considering that they started as mobile games. And yes, I've played both on the PlayStation 4 and made videos about both. Another franchise Vector Unit also created that started as a mobile game as well is Buggy Racing, but unlike Riptide GP that was a Hydro Thunder type racing game, this one is a kart racing franchise. And yes, just by looking at it, you can visually see the mobile roots this game has, but let's try to overlook that because, yeah, it looks a bit low budget. The characters could have used more facial expressions, especially when they are on the podium, but as a nice touch, they celebrate when they win and react when they get hit by something. The background music isn't anything special, but it's fine. Each character or each track should have had their own theme though, because you will hear the same stuff over and over again. But hey, sound effects are quite fine. So just like Riptide GP2, Buggy Racing has no story, it's just you going to the main menu, starting the campaign mode, picking the only character you have access to, that is playing Riptide GP2 on an arcade cabinet, which is a nice touch. In fact, if you circle through every character, the background fits the character's motif nicely. You choose your car if you want and start driving in various championships that are divided by horsepower. No, this HP does not mean hit points. This is not an RPG. You start off with 100 horsepower and work your way up to 1000 horsepower, but you don't need to get a new car for that, you can simply upgrade the one you prefer. Of course you will need money for that, but you always get it by winning races or grind for it. Personally, I think the upgrading system is better thought out in comparison to Riptide GP. Because you not only upgrade your beach buggies to max, but you also upgrade their class and upgrade those classes to max as well. For example, in this case, if you want to upgrade from 100 HP to 250 HP, then you need to upgrade your beach buggy to max in 100 HP first and then upgrade the class, but I like how it works. Sure, after a while it can get a bit grindy, especially if you want to upgrade every single buggy to max for the sake of completion, but I personally don't mind. And if you focus on just one buggy, then you don't need to grind at all. Or at least not all that much. Yes, it is possible to beat the whole game with just a single buggy as I did, but you can choose whatever. Only the characters will have to be unlocked because you will have to beat them at the end of each championship first. Well, also you need to beat them to be able to move on to the next championship. Each character has its own ability, like this alien exchanging places with the leader, the pirate, turning into a ghost and be immune from enemy damage for a while, or the one I used throughout the game that uses turbo. These effects adds quite a bit to the game and makes you think about what's best for your driving style. Also, in the beginning you will have to do just one lap, but 2 laps will be the norm and max, so only being able to use your special ability once isn't all that bad. It simply adds a bit more strategy to the game because it forces you to think when to use the ability you have and can only use once. And since the buggies themselves don't have special sets or special abilities like the characters, it makes sense why they are unlocked from the very start compared to the characters themselves. But sure, the buggies still have their strengths and weaknesses. But once you upgrade the HP from a buggy, then it gets a bigger motor. This is a visual touch that I also quite like. You will even feel the difference with each upgrade. Overall, I think the system was nicely done. Don't worry, you can change paint if you want and also look at the effects of all items, at least if you need to do so. The items themselves are quite fun to use and well thought out, I think. Rockets, shields, all kinds of boxes with surprises, confusion that reverses left and right for a few seconds, ice that makes the car very slippery, dynamite that explodes once you hit anything, the snow tires that will give you more control over your car because driving on snow and ice will be slippery, at least without support, etc. Now let's jump into the racing, because you can literally jump ahead if the timing at the start is right. You have to get a certain amount of stars to move on, and if you can't, then just repeat the races you have less than 3 stars on. Get the stars and move on to beat and unlock the boss. Sadly, there is no fanfare or anything if you beat the campaign. Well, okay, there is one, but this simple screen seems a bit lazy and too low budget. I mean, the low budget itself is not the problem, but at least try to hide it as best as you can by making it look nice and maybe even inventive. But fine, it's just a bit of a nitpick in the end of the day. Maybe. But you will not only race against the CPU, because after every second race, you will have some different events to spice things up a bit and make the game less monotonous. Like using missiles to hit a target and get the most points you can in a specific time, using nitro to beat the best time, or follow the line of the leader and collect these bubbles. So yeah, there is a bit of variety in here. The tracks are quite fun to race around, and almost each one has one or more shortcuts you can exploit. And if you want to be an asshole as well, you can say "fuck you penguins" or "out of the way you damn alligator." Yeah, especially the alligator looks cartoony and low budget, but it's fine for what it is, and it adds a bit more fun to the races by simply running them over. This is one of those games where you cannot really drift per se. There is a way to drift, but it's not really under your control. What do I mean by that? I mean that the car essentially drifts on its own depending on how you turn, but the drift is less of an actual drift, instead it's just, well, turning. Personally, I don't mind that, because despite there not really being a drift system, the buggies still handle and turn very well, so the lack of an actual drift is, well, fine. Essentially, every single track has jumps and bumps all around, and while the wheels react accordingly, which is a nice touch because that alone shows the game has nice physics and the developers cared a lot about the game, the faster your buggy is, the longer it will stay in the air. I mean, well duh, but sometimes it stays too long in the air, forcing you to hit a wall or something you didn't want to hit. So basically, I think the airtime could have been reduced by a bit. I mean, it feels like the buggies have a nice amount of weight on them, but in the air they get a bit too loose for their own good. But hey, at least you can turn your vehicle while in the air, and that's quite nice. You unlock more modes long before you've beaten the campaign, but you will likely only care about them after the campaign is done. Or maybe not if you care about multiplayer, which I don't. But it's nice that it's there, I guess. You will have quick race, daily challenges, and an actual championship. Quick race should be obvious. Daily challenges are a way to get extra cash if you manage to win that challenge with the given car and driver on a given track. So no, in here you cannot choose anything, either you do the challenge as is or you don't. These challenges change daily, so this is a nice extra to add more variety, but this shows how mobile this game is. There is a day or something where you fail to do any of these challenges, then you will have to start from zero, and this is a mechanic that essentially wants you to play daily. I really don't like systems like these at all, but at least it doesn't want you to pay for anything with skins and shit like that. Well, you know, outside of having to pay for the game itself if you want to play it. Each buggy has its own championship tower, let's say, and once you beat it by getting the most points, then you will unlock a new special gold paint job. At least if you want to be a completionist. Okay, look, beach buggy racing is nowhere near the levels of the greats like the original Crash Team Racing, Mario Kart, Sonic Racing or whatever. However, for what it is, you know, vector unit, slightly low budget, mobile game first that then was ported to consoles, you know, it actually was surprisingly fun, even though the overall difficulty could have been increased because it was more on the easy side, maybe even a bit too easy.